Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Elizabeth Gadley. A North State highway became a makeshift runway today. A plane's engine blew out mid-flight, forcing the pilot to make an emergency landing on Highway 70. We start tonight with breaking news. A very tense situation in Orrville right now. Authorities have been locked in a standoff at a motel for almost 5 hours. And the special election came with a hefty price tag. Shasta and Butte counties are expected to pay about $400,000 apiece to cover the costs. Now, on top of that, not many voters showed up to the polls. Action News reporter Colin Ligren brings us the voter turnout. A holiday storm knocked out power to thousands of North State customers. Many of those people are still in the dark a day later.
That's borderline creepy.
No, that's not borderline. That's
okay.
Just creepy.
All right, you're right. Yeah.
Everything about that is, I would be super creeped out. She's lucky nothing else happened. New Year's Day started with a bizarre standoff for San Jose police officers. We start tonight with breaking news. A Tehama County Sheriff's deputy is recovering tonight after being attacked in the line of duty.
We already had one car drive on through here, but we will be out until 7 o'clock, and we're hoping to collect lots of canned foods, lots of boxed foods for the Salvation Army.
The GPS device will give you the coordinates, but they're only accurate within about 6 to 30 feet, so it'll still take a little bit of looking before you can find the actual cache. The fire department doesn't even have enough room for all of their vehicles, and when their main engine is parked inside, volunteers can barely get to their gear. Finally tonight, more than 1,000 in Chico strapped on their running shoes and stripped off their clothes, all for a good cause. I was out there and I actually saw more of Chico than I ever expected to.
I bet you did. A whole lot more.
And that's all for this edition of the CW Action News at 10. Have a great weekend. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Elizabeth Gadley. A cold blast of winter weather is hitting the North State, and you can expect some low temperatures in the coming days. Now, earlier today, it was fog that was causing problems. This was the scene in Chico. The thick fog made driving very difficult. On some North State roadways, visibility was less than a mile. Now, for the very latest on the conditions, let's go to Chief Meteorologist Chris Kuiper in the AccuWeather Center. Chris. Thanks so much, Chris. Reading police are searching for suspects involved in a mugging and then a hit and run. Just after 10 this morning, police say a 65-year-old woman was in the parking lot of the Dollar Store on Hilltop Drive, unloading her shopping cart when another woman ran by and grabbed her purse. The suspect then jumped into a pickup. The victim ran after the truck, which sped up and slammed into her with the open passenger door. The victim was taken to the hospital. No word on her condition. The suspect's truck, a dark green or gray Dodge pickup, was last seen driving north on Hilltop. Now, you are asked to call Reading Police if you have any information. And Orrville police say 2 men have been dealing with dangerous materials in an effort to process marijuana. But fortunately, they were caught before anyone was hurt. Action News reporter Cecile Juliet joins us with more information. Cecile. Thanks for that, Cecile. A Yankee Hill man will likely spend the rest of his life in prison for murdering his housemate. 66-year-old John Helsema will serve 43 years to life behind bars for shooting and killing Craig Davies last February in the home the two shared. Helsema lived with the body for 10 days before reporting the crime. He was convicted last month of second-degree murder. He is also serving time for operating a meth lab that was found in the home. Turning now to politics, Jim Nielsen is headed to Sacramento as the new state senator in District 4. Nielsen received 2/3 of the vote in yesterday's special election, defeating Democrat Mickey Harrington. Nielsen, a former assemblyman, will now move to the Senate to complete the final 2 years of Doug LaMalva's term. Nielsen says he plans to focus on many of the same issues he addressed during his 4 years in the Assembly, including the budget and public safety. Nielsen will officially be sworn in as a member of the Senate tomorrow. And the special election came with a hefty price tag. Shasta and Butte counties are expected to pay about $400,000 apiece to cover the costs. Now, on top of that, not many voters showed up to the polls. Action News reporter Colin Ligren brings us the voter turnout and why California law may need to change to make special elections more affordable. There is a pilot program right now in Yolo County that is testing the success of a vote-by-mail only election. Unfortunately, a provision within the code specifically says a special election to fill a vacancy in a state office is not eligible.
Action News starts now.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Elizabeth Gadley. Another terrifying night in a normally quiet Chico neighborhood. Last night it was a deadly standoff. Today, residents at Burnap and East Lassen were evacuated again after authorities found a pipe bomb in the suspect's home. Action News reporter Cecile Juliet joins us with details. Cecile.
Good evening.
Thanks, Cecile. And the day-long standoff and deadly shootout with police last night was just the latest in a number of confrontations Wayne Renner had with authorities. Action News reporter Brian Callahan has more on Renner's recent past.
I'm Brian Callahan.
Also today in Chico, a foot chase lands a bank robbery suspect behind bars, and authorities say his mistake was returning to the scene of the crime. Police got a call from an employee at the Umpqua Bank on East 6th Avenue in Esplanade. A suspicious man was in the area. Officers used dogs to try to track him, and less than an hour later, they had their man.
A bank employee.
Now here's the unusual part. The bank employee says she recognized him as the same man who robbed the bank a few weeks ago, and that's why she called police. The suspect's name is Ronaldo Perez. They don't know if Perez was planning to rob the same bank this morning, but they did find a black mask during the pursuit that he had apparently dropped. Perez hasn't been charged with bank robbery, but he is being held for resisting arrest and parole violation. Gunshots in Keswick ignite a fire for the second time this summer. The blaze broke out around 11 this morning at a shooting range on Iron Mountain Road. Dry grass, manzanita brush, and pine were like kindling to the flames and allowed the fire to quickly spread to 58 acres.
We have a slight wind on it today, which is causing it to spread a little bit quicker than normal too. Just here, I think I heard it on the news this morning that we're going to reach maybe 100 degrees and humidities are dropping. So that right there is making it tough for firefighters to help contain this.
Investigators say the blaze was caused by gunfire, but exactly how the spark was created is under investigation. The blaze is now 90% contained. Fire back in June at the same location was also caused by gunshots. Firefighters are hoping to contain the wildfire burning near Costella by Saturday. The ward fire started early yesterday morning near the Sims campground in Shasta County and has grown to 550 acres. It's now 40% contained, but voluntary evacuations remain in effect for the Hazel Creek Road area. The Department of Fish and Game got a report of a bear spotted in Hamilton City last night. Officials say they know of 3 bears that have been living along the Sacramento River for the past couple of years and continue to monitor their activity. Now, wardens say it isn't unusual for bears to become more active during the harvest season when prunes and other fruit are more plentiful. But as long as the bears are behaving normally and don't pose an immediate threat to the public, wardens say they will let them be. Turning now to weather, it was a toasty day, so what's it going to be like for the rest of the week? For the latest on the conditions, we check in with Chief Meteorologist Chris Kuiper in the AccuWeather Center. Chris?
I was on my way out, and the clerk called me back to get my receipt.
Moments later, the gunman walked up to Timothy Kirsten, raised his 9mm pistol, and pulled the trigger. The gun misfired, so he shot again, and Kirsten fell to the floor.
When I got hit, I was out apparently for 6-8 minutes, and I got up and walked out and drove the car away.
To look at him now, you'd never know he was shot in the back of the head. The only signs left are 2 small scars, one in the back of his neck and the other in front of his ear.
It cracked the skull, and I had, I think, 5 skull fractures that went through the sinuses, and there was air in the cranium and the skull and all that. But I don't, you just get back on the horse and get going.
And that's very much Kirsten's attitude. He says not only has the ordeal made him appreciate his life, it made him stronger emotionally and physically. Through it all, he's kept his sense of humor.
Physiologically, I'm probably stronger and better than I was a year ago. Okay. I don't recommend this as a therapy, okay? In a shot therapy.
Kirsten admits that not remembering the day does make it easier to have a positive outlook.
The others were all conscious. And I went out like a light. Okay. And so I didn't have the grueling experience of being a hostage for 3 hours or 4 hours. Okay. That's an ongoing grinding trauma.
1 year later, all 3 employees who were held hostage inside this bank are still working here. They say community support is what's gotten them through it.
Bernie's always been a special branch, and the employees are very special. It says a lot about the support that they have from the community.
Pretty much everyone involved says they're focusing on the future and trying not to spend too much time looking back at the past and that fateful day.
We're feeling very good about, reaching this milestone and